everyone, I'm Jodi and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the Fall Trends tutorial series. So as you saw from my Fall Trends video, which I'll link right up here in case you haven't seen it yet, one of the fall trends is the color blue and every variation of blue from light blue to periwinkle blue. And as we mature, incorporating blue can be somewhat tricky, but we also want to have a current look. So we're just going to take that blue trend and maturely modify it so that we too can be part of the fall trends without being too trendy. There are certain ways that you can incorporate each of these trends into your everyday look. Picking only one trend at a time, however, trying to do all these trends in one look would be disastrous. And this tutorial was probably the most fun for me to do because if you're in the age bracket that I am 52, we saw blue eyeshadow. We had our time with it back in the 80s. In fact, we probably have pictures that unfortunately were not black and white back then that will show that blue eyeshadow, but it was sometimes, and why was that blue eyeshadow always paired with the biggest like white frost that you could find? Max Factor, Maybelline, CoverGirl, I'm talking to you guys. Thanks for that inspiration that is no longer. So I don't know about you guys, but when I saw this blue trend come back around, it was a nope, it was a hard pass for me. But I decided to embrace it because there are ways that we can, again, maturely modify it, have fun with it, and that's what today's look is all about. Dig deep into your arsenal of eyeshadow palettes or eyeliner palettes. You could certainly pick up one from a ColourPop or Milani, for example, just so that you have it for these occasions where you want to pop on a little bit of color. Or you can pick up the palette, which I'm going to use today, which is Physicians Formula, and we'll get into this palette and why I like it so much, especially for seasonal type makeup applications. So without further ado, if you like this look and want to know how to achieve it for your maturely modified trend look, then stick around because we're going to get right to it. All right, you guys, so to save us a little bit of time, I've already put on my foundation and my lips, but I have not done my blush. On my lips, I've got the NYX Natural and the Tom Ford Blush. It's lipstick, but it's called blush because it turns your lips different colors of blush depending on your pH, and that is the color that we have with this liner. And then we're gonna go in and do our eyes with a little bit of blue. And to complete the look, we'll finish up with a little bit of cheek blush and some bronzer. So to complete our eyeshadow look today, we're gonna be using the Physicians Formula Ultimate Mura Butter Collection. I love this collection because it's huge. It has every color you would want, which is why I like it. I think it's like $29. But you guys, the reason I love this one is because it has all these different colors in it. And so I have it on hand for times like this where I just need a big array of different eyeshadow colors. So when trendy colors like blue or purples or greens come in, I've got those colors on hand and then I can mix and match any of my blushes. And then you can also play around with different highlighters and just get creative. So if you like to play with different looks, then this might be a palette that you want to pick up. We're going to use some of that bronzer today and we'll also use some of the cheek color from this palette just because I want to stay in more cool tones with just a hint of warmth. So I'm going to pull from some of these blushes and I'll mix some of these blues as well. And then we'll finish up with that one of these bronzers. All right, so to get my eyes prepped and ready, the first thing that I want to do is add a little bit of concealer. You can also use primer in this step. I just want to move any of that discoloration off of my eyes, and I'll do that by using that cream concealer, and then I'll go in and just move that everywhere I want it. Now this is a good primer, but it's also a really good way to neutralize the pigmentation in your eyes that you don't want, so that you can start from the color so that you get the true color payout that you do want. And we'll do under our eyes after we are finished with the upper part of our eyes because there might be a little bit of fallout. And I just put on any creams, as you guys know, with a synthetic brush. And then I will just grab a quick fluffy blending brush, put in a little bit of my translucent powder. Oh, did you see that? I hope I got that on camera. A little bit of the translucent powder just to set that concealer and keep it from creasing. This is a really important step to do, especially if you don't put on a lot of eyeshadow and you just neutralize your lids, or if you like to layer different formulations of eyeshadow, creams and powders, and even some crayons. This just really helps give it a more smooth canvas and minimizes any of that creasing that can happen. And to start with our eyeshadow look, I'm just going to grab a big fluffy brush This is more to apply the product than to blend it. And I'm gonna grab the Natasha Denona Retro palette, and I'm gonna go into this nude mauve, which is a matte color. Tap off all the extra. And I wanna just apply this color all over my lid from the corner to corner and the lid itself up to the crease. And that's really it. Same on the other side. We're just gonna put the color on. And then because of the taperedness of this brush, we can use this as the blending brush because there's no other color on right on the eyelid right now, since we just use that concealer to neutralize everything. Otherwise, you'd want to put this on and then use a clean blending brush. That way we have a nice, clean, light, nudie pink to start with. Now, if you tend to wear more browns and taupes and beiges, then just look at all the colors that you want to apply today in the brown family and go with a dark brown, a medium brown, and a light brown, more of that taupe or a beige, or even a light off-white color, and have that in front of you so that you can use the colors that you want. I just would stay away from bright, bold colors because as we start to build this look and then we end with that blue, you certainly want to stay away from greens. You just want to stay in the neutral family, so you can start in the lower colors of the neutrals, or you can start with the medium section of neutrals, or you can also start with the darker side of neutrals, just ensuring that you've got 3 colors that progressively get darker, wherever in the neutral spectrum you choose to start. Next, I'm gonna grab a flat eyeshadow brush, and I'm gonna go into this Physicians Formula palette, and I just wanna start with something that's a little bit darker than the color that we just put on. So again, staying with the neutrals. And I'm gonna go right in this V, about a third of the eye, and then that same V is gonna come down across my lash line. And we don't wanna blend with this brush, so I'm just gonna go back and do the same thing on this side. Then you wanna grab a clean blending brush and blend that really well so that we're removing any lines, and it just looks like our eye shadow is extending softly out past the corner of our eye. Up a little bit, not quite, just a little outside your crease, not too far. We want to leave a lot of room between our eyebrow and that crease. So don't paint all the way up, just lightly blend. And remember that you want to smoke that darker color out a little bit at the corner. We don't want it to come down and pull our whole eye or that side of our face down. Soften it and blend it. We want to blur it out a little bit this way. Again, leaving a nice amount of room between your eyebrow and your crease. And you guys, these are general directions. I mean, obviously play around with it, and your eye shape will be different than mine. You'll have maybe less sagging or more sagging of the skin. So you just want to make sure that you're applying this with these techniques, but with your specific eye shape in mind. Okay, something similar to that. Now what I want to do is just take a very flat brush. This is a flat eyeshadow brush. And I want to just moisten it with the setting spray. You can use the e.l.f. setting spray if you want. I have the Makeup Forever Mist and Fix, which I've really been loving lately. And I just want to let that dry. Now remember, when you put shimmer or glimmer or metallic or pearl colors on your eye, you don't want to blend that color. So if you are going to use any of those shimmery type colors, then put them and leave them and then blend around if you're going to use mattes. You can also apply them at the very end so that you're not tempted to blend them out. But wherever you put that shimmer, blending on top of that can really have a disastrous effect to your overall makeup. Trust me, I've done it way more times than I'd like to admit. So now that my brush is damp, I'm not gonna add a shimmer, but I am gonna add this very light pearly type color. It's almost an off-white, and it is a matte, and that is by design. And I'm gonna put the product on both sides of the brush, tap off anything that's left on that's extra, and I just wanna put that right in the corner of my eye, up to my crease, and across that lower lash line on both sides. And I'm not trying to blend with this, I'm just trying to place the product. And I'm pressing that brush in, I'm not moving it around. I'm really just pressing to get into all those little lines and wrinkles and cracks. But you'll notice that because we set this with that translucent powder, I use the Laura Mercier, there's not a lot of creasing. And I typically do have creasing in my eyelids. Sometimes I think they're getting better, but then I realize it's just because my eyes are getting worse and I can't really see them as well. Which maybe that's why our eyes go bad as we get older, so that we can't really see what's happening to our skin. So you can see it's just a very nice, soft, natural look. Now what I'm going to do is go in with a very small pencil brush. I'm going to go to my palette, whichever palette you use, and now I'm going to go to a darker color. So you can see here we use this mauve color from Natasha Denona, and then we used this color right here in our crease, and then we just added this. You can put them on, these two, in any order that you prefer, just ensuring that you've got your base color first. But if you look at those on a spectrum, you've got a light, a medium, and a dark. Now what I want to do is go to an even darker color, so a fourth color, and for that I could either go to this one here or even this one here. This is a little warmer and a little lighter, so I think I'm going to pick up that color, and I just want to go right there in the corner of each eye. Because if you look at someone's face, unless their eyes are completely flat, there is shadowing as the eyes go around. They're shadowing on each side of it, and that's what we're trying to create, but ever so lightly, but a little bit more emphasized. Now I'm just going to go in with a light, fluffy, clean blending brush and soften that still, and I'm not trying to move that, I just want to remove any lines. If you're a little heavy-handed and you feel like your eyeshadow is a little too dark, because we really want this to be pretty neutral, then just grab a big light fluffy brush, pick up a neutral type color, I mean, you know, a color like this maybe, or if your overall application is darker and your skin is darker, then maybe a neutral like that. And you can just softly go over the whole look, and that will lighten up everything. And that's a really pretty effect. I do that sometimes. Typically when you do your eyeshadows, you want to start with your lighter color and build to your darkest colors, but it is a nice effect if you put on your darker colors and then smoke the whole thing out with a light dusting of another light color. So that's what I love about makeup. There's no rules. So next I want to grab a tight angled brush, and if you have an eyebrow brush and not a tight angled brush, then you can grab your eyebrow brush, which is what I'm going to do in this case. I'm going to get this really wet with this Mist and Fix setting spray because I want this to pick up really intense color. Let that dry. And this is where we're going to get to have some fun. Now in this case, you guys, this is where you want to pick up any of the colors that you want to incorporate into your look. So if we were talking about fall colors being more purples or greens, then this is the step that you're going to want to incorporate that fun, funky color. Because we're talking about blue, and blue is going to be everywhere for fall, all different shades of blue, then you can pick up a blue eyeshadow or a blue eyeliner, or go through all your palettes and see there's probably a blue of some variation in there. And if you use this wet, it's going to be a more intense color than what's in your palette. So in this case, I want to go with this blue here because I really want it to show up on camera, and you know, fall is all about blue, so why not? Tap off the excess. And I'm going to take the smaller side of that angled brush and put it right against the corner of my eye and bring that in as an eyeliner with this a slight wing. Now this is a frosted color, so when you think frosted and blue, your next thought is, oh my gosh, why? But we're going to do it in such a way that it doesn't have flashbacks of our senior pictures. So we're just going to take it like that as a nice angle. Again, use the smaller side of the angled brush. Let that touch your skin first. It just is easier to control where you want the color to go when you hold the brush in that manner. And we're going to go just across the top of our lashes. We're just creating an eyeliner. I want to add a nice little hint of color that says, hey, beauty trends. Those of us in our more mature age still like to participate, and look at us go. So we're just going to add that same thing, little tiny wing. And you guys, even if you don't use a wing, you could kill two trends with one application and just use a wing with the blue like we're doing here. And look at what you will have created. Now, because this is a little shimmer, as I said, everything else that we've used was a matte color, with the exception of that little bit of shimmer in the front with that lighter color. We don't want the shimmer or glitter colors, we don't want a lot of them, and we don't want them to compete with one another. So just a little hint of it here and there is just enough to bring your eyes sort of to life and have the light play off of them, but not too much that you look like a disco ball. So just like that. And now we want to move to our under part of our eyes. So I'm just going to grab my eyebrow pencil. This is the Anastasia in Blonde. This is what I did my eyebrows with. You can see right there. And I'm just going to grab that because it's a nice soft neutral brown and it goes well with this blue that I already have. And I just want to connect my lower eyelashes to one another. Now, if you wear an eyebrow pencil that's pretty light and blonde and it won't show up underneath your lashes, then just reach for a complementary color to your eyebrows for underneath your eyes. And you can certainly do that with a shadow. If you did your eyebrows with a shadow, and even if you didn't, whatever color you used, whether it was an eyebrow pencil or an eyebrow gel, just look for a complementary color in an eyeshadow. We're just gonna blend that in so that it nicely goes up to where we had that shadow and comes out. And from there, we're gonna grab our mascara. And I have been loving the Professional Mascara by Makeup Forever. What I love about it is it comes 2 mascaras in one. You've got your lengthening, which is step 1. And then you've got your volumizing, which is step 2. So we're gonna go first with our step 1. Look how thin that brush is. I love that brush. Just gonna go in and separate all of our lashes. And the look for lashes in fall, as you guys have heard me say a few times, is a nice fluffy lash. This mascara really helps you achieve that. I don't know how I didn't find this mascara before, because you know I am a lover of mascaras, and I think that's what should be one of my videos, huh? Is a decluttering of mascara. That one I would think I would almost be too embarrassed to do on camera because it's a bit out of control. So while that first layer of mascara is drying, I'm gonna go in with some concealer. This is the Creaseless by Tarte. And I'm just gonna clean up underneath my eyes. I've already used the blurring stick by Maybelline that I shared with you guys in the video recently. I love what that does, that blurring stick to the under eye area. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It really is like baking for over 40. The blurring effect that has on your under eye area. Okay, now we're gonna go with our second coat of mascara, and on this side I'm gonna use step number 2, which is the volumizing step. And it also has a very nice brush to it. If you've recently picked up the Wow mascara from Costco, it does the same. That's also a very good mascara. I interchange these two, but for a nice, clean, fluttery, where the lashes just look nice and youthful, I tend to reach for this one more. Not that the other one clumps. It doesn't clump. It's just more of a thickening, volumizing mascara, where this one just feels a little bit more, each lash is more individually coated, and it just looks lighter. Yeah, they still look like I have a lot, but a lighter lash. That makes sense. A thinner lash? Not thin. And then while I have out step number 2, I'm just gonna go in and go underneath, just to give it a little bit of dimension there. That way it doesn't look like your lids, because you have that darker blue and you have the mascara. This way, if you put a little bit of mascara and some color underneath, it doesn't look like your lids are so heavy. And as we age, our lids, thanks to gravity, get heavy anyway. So I like to just put a little bit of anchoring of mascara so that my eyes don't look heavy from just the lid perspective, but they appear more wide opened. Okay, what did I just do? And while that coat of mascara is drying, I'm gonna go back to this Physicians Formula palette, and I'm gonna do a little bit of bronze just to bronze up my face a little bit, my cheekbones. I'm gonna go in with this color here, and I love this BK Beauty 107 brush for my bronzer. I'm gonna go into this color and this color. This one's a little bit more warm, but it's got the darkness that I want, and this color has that nice suntan look that I'm going for. So I'm gonna just mix those two together. Tap off anything that's extra. I just want to softly go around and warm up the skin. And then we're going to go with just a little bit of blush. And in the fall trends video that I shared with you, one of the looks is burnt blush. Now, burnt blush is not necessarily a change in application as much as it is a change in color. So you're looking more for your terracottas, your brick, your dark peach. So that's where a palette like this again comes in really handy. Those may not be colors that you would typically purchase. So you have a lot of variations in here, regardless of if they're called lipstick or lip creams. They're just fine for cheeks as well. So you could use a color like this. You could use maybe this color and blend those two together. If you really want to stick with powders, then you could go with maybe a color a little bit more like this and blend it with one of these. You can also pick up a color more like that and blend it. This color and that color would be really pretty. But the thing about the burnt blush look is it's not just the cheekbones, it's also a little bit across the bridge of your nose to really give that sunburnt look. I'm not gonna do that today because that is a look that I think will just compete too much with the eyes. that blue eyeshadow and I don't want too much going on. You sort of have to pick your trend and stick with that trend for the day. But I just want to share with you guys that to do that, you would just, again, put a little bit on your brush. You grab a blush brush. You'd grab whatever color you want, more of those brick colors, add it on the apples of your cheeks and literally just brush it across your nose and go to this side. But today, because I already have my darker lipstick, which I'm not entirely loving with this look, I'm gonna go in with this very pale nude. It's almost a pinky peachy nude. And just, yeah, I think that'll be fine. Because I really wanna, my face has, that's more on the cool side, but because we warmed it up with the bronzer, that works fine. Then you can, from there, you can go in with a third coat of mascara if you wish. You can use a little bit of powder to set all this. I'm more on the dry side, so I don't want to do that, but I do want to set it, so I'm going to use the Mist and Fix spray all over. And you have incorporated some blue into your look. Now, if you want to go darker, you could either have a heavier hand and add more of the color that we used, thicker stripe and longer, or you could go with a darker blue eyeshadow altogether. Or you could use the one that we used and get your brush even more moist to pick up more of that color and then intensity and go over it with that. Up close, you can see there's a little bit of blue. From a distance, you could see there's a little bit of blue, but it doesn't scream 1988 Pat Benatar. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You guys know what I'm talking about. Or your senior pictures, which I think mine probably does have blue eyeshadow. Does your senior picture have blue eyeshadow? I'm pretty sure mine does. Now I'm gonna have to look. Anyway, that is the look for today. That is a fall fashion trend, adding some blue, really looking at a fun way to incorporate these trends without looking trendy. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you've got a friend or two that's also looking to incorporate some trends or just wants to notch up their makeup look, then please feel free to share this video with them as well. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.